free ride levels, and we're on an ATV driving around. And one of the new features of Reflex is the fact that you can control the vehicle separately from you controlling the rider. So you can still turn left to right with the left stick, but now with the right stick, you can actually lean the rider one way or another. This hasn't been done before. It's a really cool thing because now your controls become a lot more intuitive. When you see them driving around here, you can learn like when you want to use both, when you want to use one or the other, and kind of lean into things and lean out. So it's kind of up to you, like how you want to get into the dirt and get into the traction. When he goes up around this corner, what we'll show you too is you kind of see what looks like tire tracks coming off the back, but we're actually doing real deformation for the first time. And this is really cool because it's not just a visual thing, it's actually something that is really happening. And we have a brand new physics engine that we've rewritten from the ground up and takes advantage of all of the terrain deformation stuff. So when we get around this corner, you can kind of see how the terrain's changing from sand and now we're in some mud. So you kind of start to slow down and spin some donuts. You actually start to see what's getting cut up here and the dirt getting all sprayed out. And if he drives over it, you'll see that it actually affects the vehicle and drives over. So this is a really cool thing because you're actually in the dirt and you're playing in it, but when you're actually racing events and racing on the track's changing from lap to lap or even from every time you race, depending on who you're racing, what you're racing. Actually here you can see like the water coming into where he's leaving his ruts. It's really cool. And so the rider reflex stuff comes in a couple different forms. You have the leaning, the forward and back, left and right, and deals with traction and also your jumping. There's a second system, which we haven't seen yet, but it's called the wreck avoidance. And in the past, you'd always just wreck when you hit something really hard. Well, now you actually have a chance to save it. So these are the things that keep you in the race and in the run. When you're doing freestyle, for instance, you can get a better score because you actually didn't wreck, you actually saved it. And the third part of that is the stunt system, which all goes with rider reflex. So using some very simple gestures, you can actually pull off really cool and intuitive stunts. And we actually have also thrown in some that have never really been seen before, but are probably possible, but the guys in real life probably don't want to do them outside of their foam pit. At least not yet. All right, so here's one of our freestyle events. Once again, bringing up the whole intensity of the event. And what's new for this, aside from the trick system, which I'll talk about in a second, is you're not going to see a bunch of points up on the screen or multipliers or different things because it's about your whole run and not just different tricks. You're getting greedy. So there's lots of different tricks to pull off and do some new tricks that nobody's ever seen before, but you're also racing and competing in the event and the course itself. So you have judges looking at how much of the course you're using, how hard your tricks are, if you're repeating them, not repeating them, your overall impressions, much more like a real event. So you can focus on all the different aspects of it. And in some cases, you might not be so good at the really hard tricks, but you can use the course really well. And so you might do okay as opposed to somebody that might know how to do really hard tricks, but not use all the course. So there's lots of different ways to score really good. But the trick system goes and builds off the rider reflex system as well. So by holding the stunt modifier, you do a couple, just a simple gesture, and that will start to stunt. And you just basically build off from there. Holding it in the last direction lets you hold the trick, and you're actually seeing you get saved a couple times, which is keeping them going. And that part's really cool to get a good score and get knocked down for doing dead sailors over jumps. But yeah, our freestyles have been brought up to the whole next level, especially doing backflips with tricks in them, landing them, saving them almost, and going through. So it's a really cool event to pick up and play, but also get into some pretty hardcore stuff.
So listen up. In MX versus ATV Reflex, the rider reflex system lets you do what I do, be in complete control. To ride an MX bike, you can't just turn the handlebars. You gotta lean into it. Steer your bike with the left thumbstick and control the rider with the right. The farther you lean, the faster you can take each turn. Lean forward to keep your front end down. And back to catch sick air on jumps. Use your whole body to stay every direction, and you'll place first. If you don't, grab an MX versus ATV Reflex and practice, and maybe one day you can keep up with me.